Hello, welcome to this video from Sorare Assist. Today I'm going to be going over 5 mistakes that new players on Sorare tend to make. So I'm going to warn you of these so that you don't make the same mistake as well. Before we get into it, if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe to the channel. If you do like this video, please do that and just do that and like the video. If you've got any comments about today's video or any content you'd like to see, please comment in the comments below. And if you're not signed up to Sorare yet, there is a link in the description below where you can get yourself 10 free common cards and also a free rare card as well after purchasing your first 5 rares. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's get stuck into today's content. So, mistake number 1. Buying a player based on their last 5 games. This can be a costly mistake for a number of reasons. You may find that although the last 5 games average looks impressive, this may have just been a good run of form for the player and their previous scores may not be that good. The player may have only played 2 of the last 5 games as well and had a fairly good game in those couple of games but didn't play the other 3 games and isn't a first team regular. Or even worse, he's only actually played 1 game in the last 5 and he was lucky enough to get a score of 70 in that game and giving him an impressive last 5 average of 70. Also, buying a player that has scored high scores in the last 5 probably isn't the best time to buy that player. You'd probably best wait until he has a few average scores, as he is likely to be in less demand and available at a cheaper price than if you just had a stormer in the last 5. So it's worth doing some research on the player rather than buying based on the last 5 game stats. Mistake number 2. Selling too early. All I mean by this is not having patience if a player who has a previous good scores has a few games where he doesn't play well and you decide to sell. This is a bad move for a number of reasons. Firstly, if he's on a bad run of form, you're likely going to need to sell at a cheap price. Also, if the player does have the underlying stats and quality to get good scores, he's more likely than not going to come back into form, and this is probably after you sell him. It's like switching your captain on fantasy football, as your star forward hasn't scored for a couple of weeks. Then he scores a hat-trick, just as you give the captain's armband to someone else. It's always worth looking at the bigger picture before hitting that sell card button. Mistake number 3. Not using your unused cards in trading. Now I'm sure you all think, what's the point of putting them in trading? I can't win any prizes in trading, or it takes too long to sort out all my players in trading. I can't be bothered. Well, this could cost you those all-important prizes when these players do compete in prizes because they miss out. Well, this could cost you those all-important prizes when these players do compete in prize-winning tournaments because they miss out on a card with a higher XP. Putting cards in trading is very important, and this basically increases the power of your cards and the amount of points that player gets in the form of XP bonus. And those extra bonus points could be the difference between coming away with a prize and coming away empty-handed. So make sure you are putting any unused cards into trading to gain that all-important XP. Mistake number 4. Picking your team too early. I know, it's tempting to pick your teams as soon as the next game week window opens, and there's no harm in selecting your teams well in advance, but make sure that you recheck your teams before that all-important deadline. This is because picking your team as soon as the new game week opens isn't so good idea, because more than likely than not you won't have any predicted lineups or team news at this point, plus one of your players may get injured in training or something before the next game week arrives. So it's always a good idea to finalise your teams at minimum the night before the deadline, or even better, in the morning of the day of the deadline. You know what they say, the early bird catches the worm, and this will enable you to maximise your chances of not getting that dreaded did not play. Top mistake number 5. Don't use the scattergun approach. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean buying any card because you think they look cheap or they had a good recent game. Another example is buying loads of youngsters, especially strikers, as they will score loads of goals, right? The only problem is you also need a defender, midfielder, goalkeeper, and oh yeah, someone who's actually in the first team and able to score you those all-important points. So it's a good idea to have a strategy in terms of buying the cards that you actually need to maximise your chances of winning Ether and player cards. My advice would also be to buy one quality defender, midfielder, forward over buying 4 average ones. You also want to think about each SO5 tournament and make sure that you have at least one player to fill every slot in your SO5 team. Quality over quantity is also important when you're first starting out. So don't be buying every player that looks cheap. Think about what players you need for each tournament and in what position, and try to get at least one quality player with your hard-earned cash rather than 4 average ones for each tournament. So that's it. These are the 5 common mistakes that a lot of managers make, and I would suggest that you don't make the same errors and improve your chances of glory. If you have any thoughts to today's video, then drop them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, then please tap that like button and subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button below. Don't forget to push that notification bell to be informed about any new content from me. You can also follow us on Twitter at Sorare Assist, and you can also check out our website as well, sorareassist.com. Links are in the description below. There's also a link in the description below to sign up to Sorare if you've not done that yet, and bag yourself some free cards. I hope to see you again soon on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.